We're in the last week of South Asian Heritage Month, which is all about celebrating brown culture and history. Never forget, brown is profound, and we brown people definitely love our cars. From elaborately decorated trucks festooned with lovesick poetry, forever heaving down highways with relentless defiance, to the small hatchback carrying 15 members of the same family, their goat, and the chicken with a tacky tissue box on the parcel shelf that nobody is actually allowed to take any tissues from because it's for the guests, isn't it? And no matter how dilapidated, if it goes, it counts. Chalti ka naam gaadi, as they say. We demand a lot from our vehicles, from pack-it-all-in practicality to thrifty travel costs, plus they have to be reliable, fun, and fancy enough to make the Patels across the road green with envy. But what are the ultimate Desi drivers' cars? What are the brands we trade our biryani for? Which motor would Daddy Ji most approve of? What does Uncle aspire to? Well, as the brown car guy, here's my definitive rundown of the top 13 Desified drivers, both past and present. Let me know what you think and mention any that I might have missed in the comments below. I can't wait to read them.
A brown car guy.
Behold the Toyota Hilux, the Ajay Devgan of pickup trucks. Undefeatable. It's the stuff of legend, not just among terrorists, but remember when Jeremy Clarkson literally tried to kill one on Top Gear? He drowned it in the ocean, hit it with a wrecking ball, set it on fire, and like the best Bollywood hero, it didn't just keep going, it practically asked for more. Like that bruised and battered hero that gets back up again and gestures, Aja. Let's go again. This pickup has been the trusty steed of farmers, adventurers, UN peacekeepers, and yes, the Taliban. It's a war zone Willys Jeep, and in peacetime, a family wagon, where you can bring the extended in-laws too. It's often said that when the world ends, the only thing left surviving will be cockroaches and Hiluxes. Sure, it's not fast, it's not luxurious, in fact, it's as Spartan as a Punjabi Dabba, but that's not the point. A Hilux isn't bought for speed or even aircon. It's bought because it's Zabardast and will never ever die. You could drive one from Karachi to Kabul through a monsoon, over a mountain, into a wedding procession, and through a cross-border shootout, and it would still start the next morning as if nothing had happened. In the Desi car world, that makes it the ultimate ride or die. Literally. Next up, the Suzuki Caravan, or Bolan in Pakistan, or known in India as the Maruti Omni, aka the van that carried everything, and I mean everything. School kids, different lunchboxes, entire joint families, sacks of rice, random cattle. If it fitted, it shipped. If you grew up in South Asia, you've probably got a childhood memory of being packed like sardines into one of these dabbas on the way to a school or maybe even a wedding, with your mum feeding you parathas in the back seat. This wasn't just a van, it was a mini mobile home on wheels. It had 2 sliding doors, 0 frills, and an engine under the front seats that buzzed like a sewing machine. Seatbelts? Chodo yaar, just hold on to each other. Best not to crash it though. It was about as sturdy as a cardboard box. Kalli wali, Allah hifazat. It was also the default Bollywood kidnapper van. If you saw an Omni with blacked out windows lurking nearby, either the local Don was inside or a gang of goons were about to bundle someone inside who was shouting, "Bachao! Bachao!" As for performance, let's just say 0 to 60 was measured in eventually. Handling? It's like you were feeding it not petrol, you were pouring in straight daru. It wobbled around like a tipsy baby panda, but who cares? It was charmingly awful and awfully charming. Maruti only stopped making it in 2020 after 34 years, when modern safety laws finally said enough. The beloved Bolan carried Dabba, soldiered on for a few more years in Pakistan, and to this day, it's an unshakable Desi icon. Dreamt up by Hitler, engineered by Ferdinand Porsche, yes, that Porsche, delivered to the world by the British Army, marketed by Jewish ad agencies, madmen in America, and then hijacked by the free love hippies of the 60s. The Beetle starred as Herbie on the big screen and stripped off to serve surfers as the ultimate beach buggy, and then went on to become one of the most influential cars of the 20th century, with over 21 million built. At one point, It was everywhere, from Kingsbury High Road to Mexico City as taxis, and of course, chugging around Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad in the 70s and 80s. In Pakistan, some aunties cooed, "Ooh, kitni cute gaadi hai na?" And they weren't wrong. This air-cooled wonder was perfect for the blistering heat there. No radiator to boil over, no water pump to fail, while other cars steamed away like a pressure cooker on the roadside. The Beetle just went put 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 put. Powered by a rear-mounted flat 4, you could fix it with a hammer, a spanner, and maybe a quick door knuckle, huh? The boot in the front, of course. Perfect for all your BB shopping when you come back from Sadar Bazaar. But the Beetle also had a fiery side. Literally, old fuel lines could crack spraying petrol on a hot engine, or the battery under the rear seat could short out if your naniji sat down too hard and the seat springs kissed the terminal. Instant seat barbecue. Let's not talk about what happened to Naniji, huh? For many, it was the first car you could afford, teaching generations both how to drive and how to push start a stubborn engine on a cold morning. Quirky, loyal, and occasionally explosive, the Beetle didn't just move people, it moved their hearts. And in Pakistan, it even earned a nickname of pure affection, the Foxy. Supposedly because Volkswagen was too hard to say, so everyone just called it the next closest thing. Foxy, apparently. For South Asians living in the West who wanted a bit of style, a proper driver's machine, and still something solid, dependable, and credible, step forward the BMW 3 Series. Basically, standard issue for upwardly mobile young Desis. In the 90s and 2000s, every other household, from Bradistown to Southall, had one of these parked out the front, gleaming resplendently with aftermarket alloys so shiny they doubled as landing lights for Air India, bringing in fresh arrivals. For many, it was the first proper European car that they had, after moving on from Uncle's hand-me-down Datsun. The 3 Series wasn't just transport, it was a statement. Don't mess, I'm making it bro. Rear-wheel drive, sharp handling, and a badge with more street cred than a gold chain over an Armani suit that you bought from TK Maxx. And of course, the sound system, you had to upgrade it. You had to upgrade the bass to do justice to Bhangra Beats or Apache Indian. Wind your Beamer, wiggle your 3 Series. Come on, man. This car is pure boom shakalak. But it wasn't all about flash. The 3 Series was, and still is, a genuinely great car. Whether it was the iconic E30, I've had 2, the brilliant E46, or even the current 3s, they've always had the performance to impress the bros, the comfort to ferry your parents around, and the practicality to pack in the ghee, atta, and chawal at VB & Sons. It's the perfect blend of respect and badmashi. For a whole generation of Desis in the UK, the BMW 3 Series wasn't just a car, it was and remains a badge of pride. If the BMW 3 Series was for the young, flash, upwardly mobile Desi, then the Toyota Camry was for the established uncle, who was doing TikTok, comfortable, but not showing off, and still had one eye firmly on reliability and running costs. The Camry was never about speed or flash. It was about smoothness over miles, many, many, many miles, and each one of them trouble-free. Glide into a wedding car park in a metallic beige Camry, and the aunties automatically assumed you owned at least 3 rental properties and had a son ready for marriage. For South Asians in the US, Australia, and the Middle East, the Camry was the sensible yet decent choice. Comfortable, like sitting in your dad's favorite armchair. And the boot, big enough to fit a month's worth of Costco shopping and a sack of basmati rice the size of your pota chotu. It wasn't a car that begged for attention, but it got it anyway. Whisper quiet V6s, aircon so cold it could give you pneumonia in Dubai, and suspension softer than gulab jamun. And here's the thing, it simply never breaks down. You can drive a Camry for 20 years, hand it to your cousin, who'll then pass it on to his nephew, who'll then give it to his neighbor who's doing Uber between jobs, and it would still be running on the original engine, gearbox, and possibly the same set of tires. It's the uncle of cars, dependable, respected, and always there when you need a lift to Heathrow Airport. If anyone with a Camry ever tells you that they can't make it because of car trouble, they're lying. Frankly, either they're late or they don't want to see you. The Mitsubishi Pajero, the name that makes every Spanish speaker smirk, and every teenage boy burst out laughing. If you don't know why, Google it. But beware, hence they politely called it the Shogun in Europe. But in the Middle East and South Asia, this was the 4x4 you got before you got a Land Cruiser. Whether you were in Sindh or Dubai, Doha or even Dakar, the Pajero was the go-to for anyone who wanted to crest dunes on a Friday morning and then roll up to a wedding that evening without even brushing the sand off. It could go from conquering a desert peak to parking up outside the presidential palace demanding a meeting now. South Asians loved it because it was basically a lounge on wheels. Plush seats, big glassy windows, thandi hawa from the AC, and enough space for the entire khandan, plus your bodyguards, of course. After all, in rural Pakistan, it was a mandatory Verdera car, along with knockoff Ray-Ban aviators, 2 Nokia 3310s, one for wife, one for business, and a Kalashnikov resting on the back seat. No self-respecting feudal lord would be seen pulling up to his fields in anything less. A Pajero meant power, influence, and the unspoken ability to resolve matters without involving the authorities, if you catch my drift. It may sound odd today, but back then this Mitsubishi was about status, comfort, and looking like you could cross the Khyber Pass, attend a jirga, and still make it home for chai. And if you did it in a Pajero, people didn't just respect you, they moved out of your way. If the Mitsubishi Pajero was the Desert Dawn, then the Toyota Land Cruiser is the big boss. The Verdera of Verderas, the Malik of Maliks, the undisputed monarch of brown world motoring. In the Middle East, South Asia, Australia, basically anywhere with dust, dunes or dodgy roads, the Land Cruiser is the law. From Kabul to Kuwait, Jeddah to Fujairah, and of course Islamabad to Lahore, this is the ride that gets the biggest salam in the village. In South Asia, you don't own a Land Cruiser to show off, you own it because you own everything else too. This is not just the ultimate 4x4, it's an all-terrain throne. Soft leather seats, suspension that eats potholes for breakfast, and a drivetrain that would climb over Nanga Parbat if they let it. For the Desi elite, a white Land Cruiser is essential as a white shalwar kameez on Eid. Politicians, army generals, CEOs, and yes, the ultra verderas all swear by it. You could be escorting a foreign delegation, carrying an entire wedding party, or persuading someone to settle a land dispute. The Land Cruiser will set the right tone that just can't be dismissed. It's a vehicle that commands respect in the city, fear in the countryside, and envy everywhere else. In the hierarchy of Desi 4x4s, it doesn't just reign supreme, it parks on the throne, puts its feet up, and tells the Pajero, "Oi, chai chai leya." Before the Corolla became king and before Civics got VTech stickers, there was one humble hero quietly ferrying brown families around, the Datsun Sunny. And if you go back even further, its granddad, the Datsun 120Y, was the affordable ticket to 4 wheels for your average Desi uncle. This was the car you bought when you saved just enough to move on from buses and rickshaws. And it did the job. Oh, how it did the job. Even today, you still spot the occasional black and yellow 120Y roaming the streets of Pakistan as a taxi. Its battered, mottled body shell looking like it survived 3 floods, 2 coups, and an argument with a Pajero. Reliable, frugal, easy to fix, and able to run for decades on little more than oil changes, duas, and occasionally a coat of paint slapped on it in the driveway. It had the aerodynamics of a brick and the performance of an atta chakki machine powered by solar panels on a cloudy day. But who cared? It would get you from Bradford to Birmingham or from Balochistan to Bunji, sipping petrol like it was paying for it out of its own wallet. For many families, it was the first taste of true independence. No more begging for lifts or waiting endlessly for the number 58 bus. This was your car, even if you had to share it with 3 other drivers in the household and put up with your chacha's constant tinkering under the bonnet. And just to check one thing, the Sunny and the 120Y weren't aspirational, they were attainable. And that's what made them special. Ask any chacha today and he'll smile and say, "Beta, my first car? Sunny thi. Wow, those were the days, huh?" If you're enjoying this video, make sure that you hit like, share and subscribe, and do share this especially with your Desi friends. And you know what? I've got a separate channel now for shorts. So all my short videos now are on a separate channel. Go and subscribe to that one as well. I'm not putting any shorts anymore on this particular YouTube channel. Also, support independent journalism channels like mine. You can do that by taking out subscriptions at patreon.com, ko-fi.com, or a voluntary membership right here on YouTube. Or better still, buy one of my books. I've got 3 of them out at the moment. There they are behind me. The first one is an all-action thriller, just a fun ride with lots of cool cars and car chases through London. It's called The Hilux Files. The second book is The Quantum Races. It's a collection of short stories I wrote over 20 years about cars, science fiction, and the human condition. And the third book that came out this year is about how to do what I do. 35 years of my experience distilled into this book. All of them are available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Go get a copy. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you like it, leave a review, and if you don't like it, don't leave a review. In Pakistan, the Civic wasn't just a car. It was the car, and not just any Civic, mind you. We're talking about the legendary 90s and early 2000s Honda Civic VTi, the one with the D16 engine, the sunroof, the power windows, and the status of a Bollywood hero pulling up in slow motion, stepping out, and whipping on his shades. If the Corolla was for sensible Sargent, the Civic VTi was for his younger, flashier cousin who listened to Junoon at full blast and forgot to button up most of his shirt. Every university car park in Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad had at least one of these parked at an angle, the owner leaning against it nonchalantly, happy to talk to any passerby, telling them, VTi ki to kya baat hai yaar. It was low, sleek and cool enough to make you feel like Vin Diesel in the first Fast and Furious movie, minus the bald head of course. With a decent set of alloys, maybe a body kit, and obligatory extra VTi stickers in the rear window, you were officially part of the in crowd. Sure, the theft rate was higher than your chacha's cholesterol, but the VTi was aspirational, attainable if you saved hard enough, and always adored. Even today, spot a clean EK or ES Civic VTi gliding by and watch the uncles and nephews alike turn their heads. For a whole generation of South Asian car fans, this was the one. The Hindustan Ambassador wasn't just a car, it was India on 4 wheels. Based on the old British Morris Oxford, it became as much a part of the Indian landscape as Holi, the Taj Mahal and cricket. For decades, it was the official ride of ministers, movie stars, taxi drivers and your mamaji visiting from Calcutta. White ambassadors with a little red beacon on top, well, that was pure Netaji power right there. When one of those cruised down the road, traffic would melt away faster than Kulfi in May. You just knew someone important was riding inside that, or at least someone who thought they were important. It was a tank disguised as a family car. Thick steel panels, seats you could sink into like a charpai, and an interior aroma that was part fake leather, part incense, part ancient files in triplicate disintegrating quietly in the boot. Eyes only, I'm afraid, case closed. Sure, the steering was heavier than the tension between Saas and Bow, and the turning circle was roughly the size of a small stadium, but it would go anywhere, from Delhi's chaotic roundabouts to monsoon-flooded village tracks. And let's not forget, it was the star of countless Bollywood chase scenes during the 70s, 80s and 90s. The Ambassador was the cop car, it was the getaway car, and in fact, it was all the other cars on the road too, because for a while in India's automotive history, it was pretty much every man's car, literally. It was dignified, dependable, and the last remnant of the British Raj ruling the roads of India. Even after production ended in 2014, the Ambi still carries an aura, an old world charm that says, I am from a time when cars had character and movies had meaning. If the Hindustan Ambassador was India's grand old statesman, the Suzuki Alto, or Maruti 800 in India, FX in Pakistan, was the scrappy young upstart that gave the Awam their own set of wheels. Getting the masses mobile, this was South Asia's true Ford Model T moment. In the early 80s, this tiny hatchback rolled in like a cut-price superhero, rescuing millions from being precariously perched on motorcycle handlebars, hanging off the side of buses, rattling around in rickshaws, or paying through the nose for a bone-jarring taxi ride with cement-hard suspension and a driver who refused to turn on the headlights at night in case they were out. The Alto FX, baby Maruti, whatever you want to call it, cheap, cheerful, and so fuel efficient you could drive from Lahore to Murray for the price of a pan, with a family of 8 squeezed inside of it. Light enough that 3 friends could simply pick it up and move it, which was handy in old Lahore's gullians or Chandni Chowk's parking mayhem. It was the student car, the newlyweds car, the I've just got my first job car, and the I've had enough of riding around on my motorbike car. I remember driving one, and it was actually fun to drive, sharp, checkable, quick enough to dart through urban traffic. The Alto, Maruti, it wasn't about status, it was about freedom. It democratized driving for the brown world's middle class and became part of millions of motoring memories. Today, enthusiasts restore them for nostalgia, but for a generation, this little tin can was the first taste of independence. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't have to be. It just had to get you there, and it did, always. Long live the People's Alto. Mercedes, or should I say Mercedes. Somehow, that little twist in pronunciation does make it sound even grander. And for decades, no badge shone brighter in Desi hearts. One model in particular was the ultimate made-it car, the E-Class, the W123, the W124, and later even the W210 and the W211. They weren't just executive saloons, they were rolling declarations of success in Karachi, Lahore, Dhaka or Delhi. You didn't need a business card. If you pulled up in one of these, everyone already knew, Bale Saab aaye. The W123 was the bulletproof legend, built so well that in Africa they're still used as taxis after 40 years of abuse. The W124 was the perfect balance of refinement and reliability, beloved by doctors, diplomats and dons alike. The W210 and the W211, comfy, stylish, with oval headlights that made them look like they'd been up all night negotiating peace treaties or business arrangements. It was the ultimate uncle car, and even now you'll spot them in Desi districts in the west, lovingly polished despite the fact that they're actually dirt cheap to buy used now. They have aircon that could freeze a mango, leather seats softer than a fresh naan, and suspension that absorbed potholes like they were minor inconveniences to your empire. They were tough, properly tough. A W123 could outlast governments, survive coups, and keep going even if half the electronics had retired. Presence, prestige, and an entrance like no other. The modern ones? Too complex, too fragile, and too expensive when they go wrong, especially for uncles that are still needing help with their smartphones. But those grand old models, when one of those glides past in mint condition, even now you can't help but straighten up a little, because the Mercedes wasn't just a car, it was a statement. Its owner had beaten the odds, made it in life, and was now the Don. From Karachi to Kingston, Bradford to Bangkok, the Toyota Corolla has been everywhere, done everything, and carried everyone. But in the brown world, it's more than just a car. It's a family member. Reliable, unfussy, never complaining, always shows up, always gets the job done. In Pakistan, the Corolla is practically a national institution. Politicians, policemen, professors, panwalas, everyone has had one. In the Western Desi communities, it's the quiet achiever in the sensible car parks, the one that still starts first turn on a freezing Monday morning when flashier motors literally just give up. The 1970s E30 really grabbed drivers' attention, but it was the legendary E70 of the late 70s and early 80s that cemented the Corolla's indestructible reliability, combined with practicality and being a fun drive behind the wheel. Rear-wheel drive, 3-box saloon that's also been raced, rallied and drifted. In many ways, this was South Asia's BMW E33 series. These are still running around now, but they're collectible and they're worth restoring. The following E90, E100, E110 and the E120 generations became the default choice for anyone who wanted a car that would last longer than most dictatorships. Parts cheaper than the Nehari and an engine that could run on cold chai if it had to. It wasn't glamorous, but it was bulletproof. Corollas are the daily drivers, the wedding cars. They'll pick up execs at Jinnah International Airport. They'll scramble over broken roads and all kinds of terrain in the frontier provinces. And you can go to Dolmen Mall or keep going halfway around the world till you get to Westfield in West London. It'll just do it, and it won't even break a sweat. And that's the thing. While other cars try to be sporty or luxurious or clever, the Corolla just quietly gets on with it, year after year, decade after decade. In the Desi world, it's not just a car, it's the default answer to "Kaun si gaadi loon? Corolla yaar." Because when you buy a Corolla, you're not buying a gamble, you're buying peace of mind and a ticket into a brotherhood that spans continents. When it comes to Desi drives, the Corolla rules and frankly will continue to do so. Long live the Toyota Corolla. And there you have it, from the mighty Land Cruiser that could roll through a flood and come out cleaner than it went in, to the humble Maruti FX that gave the masses their first taste of motoring. These aren't just cars, they're characters. They've been at our weddings, in our photo albums, parked outside our offices. They've carried the cash and carry. They've ferried families around the world. But you know what? They didn't just carry our kids and our shopping. They carried our hopes, our aspirations, and our dreams. You know, we cherish these things. We clean them and polish them on festive occasions. The cars witness the family dramas that's going on inside. We give them affectionate pats on the bonnet when they get us home, even when the city is being ransacked by rioters. Whether you're in Bradford or Bangalore, Karachi or Kolkata, you've probably got a story about at least one of these iconic cars. And that's the thing about Desi car culture. It's not about the badge on the grill. It's about the memories in the glove box. So here's to the desert dons, the gully race champions, the little cars that could, and the Mercedes mob bosses. They may have different shapes and sizes and engines, but they all have one thing in common. They're part of who we are, wherever we are. They're part of our heritage and our history. Long live the Desi drives. And if you own one of these, treat it well. It's not just a car, it's family vibe. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.